This video is one of my most requested videos so far because a lot of you want to know exactly how these new VAT laws within the EU are going to affect you when it comes to sending goods to customers within the EU. So I'm going to try to break it down as simple as possible. I'm going to try to give you guys the key basic information that you guys need to know so that you can make any changes that you need to on your eBay store. So the first thing that you guys need to be aware of is that what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is going to apply solely to sellers that are selling on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, strictly on marketplaces, because there's different rules when it comes to you being a seller that's selling directly to the customer, e.g. on Shopify or WooCommerce or any direct platform that you might be using to sell stuff to your customers, and you selling stuff to customers on marketplaces like eBay, Shopify, Amazon. So make sure you watch this whole video so that you have an understanding of what changes you need to make to your listings, especially if you're selling on eBay, because I know a lot of my viewers primarily sell on eBay. So I'm going to try to break it down as best as possible. So if you guys haven't noticed already, if you log into your eBay sellers account, you would notice at the top it says, get ready for important changes to EU VAT regulations. All sellers should ensure that their listings are compliant and competitive. So the fact that eBay put it right at the top of the seller's dashboard shows that it's something that's very important. So let me give you guys a background on what's happening. The European Commission Department recently announced that they're going to make changes to the way that their citizens are going to have to pay for taxes when it comes to their citizens buying stuff from outside the European Union. So it's definitely going to affect us sellers that are not necessarily within the EU anymore. Because I'm based in the UK, we recently left the EU, so this is now going to affect UK sellers as well. So what this simply means is that if you're based outside of the EU and you're going to be sending stuff to customers within the EU, there's a few changes that are going to take effect from the 1st of July. The first change that you guys need to be aware of is that customers within the EU are now going to have to pay VAT on items that they've purchased outside of the EU for any amount. Prior to the changes that are going to take effect from the 1st of July 2021, customers within the EU didn't need to pay any VAT for an item that they purchased outside of the EU if the item was valued under 22 euros. But the European government have recently abolished that, which means that any item that's sold to any customer within the EU is going to get taxed a certain percentage depending on what country it's sent to. So all the different countries within the EU, whether it's Spain, Germany, France, they all have their own VAT percentage that they're going to be charging their citizens. So it all depends on the country that the customer is based in. I believe that the lowest percentage that a customer is going to get charged is around 15%, but it depends. It could be 15, it could be 20%, it could be a little bit more depending on the country within the EU. So this is the first thing that's very important that I needed to know as an eBay seller that sells within the EU, that the customers are now going to have to pay a certain percentage on all items, no matter what the value is, which is definitely going to affect things when it comes to competitiveness and comes to them even deciding to buy from you. The fact that customers within the EU have to now pay this extra amount on top of what they're already paying you might make you a little less competitive. So the reason why this is important for you guys to be aware of is that if you're importing stock from China and then holding it in your house or your office space or your warehouse with the intention of selling it to customers within the EU, this is something that's very important for you guys to know, because these customers may not want to buy from you no more, because the same customers that you've been selling to all this time within the EU may decide to go elsewhere. So this is something that I've personally had to deal with in my own business, and it's something that you guys need to be aware of. Another thing that you guys need to be aware of is that if your sales total over 10,000 euros annually, in terms of all the sales that you're making to customers within the EU, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because you're going to have to register for VAT yourself. Now there's two ways that you can register for VAT. You can either register for VAT in each country, so whatever country that you're sending to. So for example, if you're sending goods to France, Germany, Italy and Spain, you're going to have to register for VAT within those countries, and you're going to get a unique VAT registration number for each of those countries, and you're going to have to submit your VAT to each and every one of those countries. Or the second method that you can do, which is the most simplest method in my opinion, is using the one-stop shop method. So this is where you're going to register for VAT just once, and you're going to be able to submit your VAT returns for all of the European countries that you're sending stuff to just once. So the European government have made it a little bit easier when it comes to them collecting their money, so that people don't have to worry about registering for each and every different country that they're sending goods to, if that makes sense. So just to let you guys know, I'm not a VAT specialist. I'm just an e-commerce seller myself with my own e-commerce business, and I'm trying to give you guys the basics. And yes, I did used to work as a financial accountant and a bookkeeper, as you guys are already aware. But when it comes to changes to VAT, especially when it's VAT that doesn't necessarily relate to the UK and it's more international based, this is where it can get a little bit tricky. And this is where the help of an accountant can come in, which now brings me on to the sponsors of today's video. So the sponsors of today's video is Awesome. Awesome is an accounting and bookkeeping company that primarily focuses on helping e-commerce sellers with the day-to-day admin of making sure that everything has been recorded properly, making sure that all of the transactions within a business has been properly allocated and reconciled in the right way, and they can also help you with VAT. I believe that companies like Awesome are perfect for e-commerce sellers, especially during the transition that we're going to go through right now and all these new VAT laws that we're going to have to deal with. If you don't have time and you want to focus on building your business and focus on the creative aspect of growing your business, and you don't really want to get bogged down with all of the day-to-day issues that you're going to have to deal with when it comes to understanding all of the different issues that we're going to go through as e-commerce sellers, then Awesome might be one of the answers that you've been waiting for. Awesome has qualified chartered accountants that are ready to answer any question that you might have when it comes to understanding all of the things that you're going to need to do for your business when this change takes effect from the 1st of July 2021. Awesome is a great company to sign up with if you're confused about everything you need to know with the new VAT laws. Even if you're doing over 10,000 euros in terms of international sales within the EU, or below 10,000 euros, or even if you're selling on platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, or even direct to customers, Awesome are definitely going to be able to help you understand everything you need to be aware of. So if you do want to sign up with them, you can click the link down below because they've kindly given my audience £100 off your first month. If you use that link down below, even if you just want to contact them and confirm some things about the changes that are going to take place from the 1st of July, you can also do that using the link down below. But let's get back into the video. So another important change that you guys need to be aware of that's going to take effect from the 1st of July 2021 is that eBay is going to collect the VAT at the point of sale. So this is very important because the way that it worked before, if you sold something on eBay to a customer within the EU, is that the customer was going to have to pay any VAT or taxes due once they've received the item within their country. So depending on if the courier was going to charge them or their government, I'm not sure how it's going to exactly work in each European country, but they was going to have to pay those taxes once the goods arrived in their country. But the way that it's going to work now is that the customer within the EU, if they do decide to buy from your store, so let's say you're based in the UK like myself, they're going to have to pay that VAT once they buy the item. So as soon as they buy the item from your store, the VAT is going to be charged there and then. But this is a very important thing to be aware of, because if you were selling through places like Shopify or your own website, WooCommerce, different platforms where you're the person that's selling directly to the customer and you're not necessarily selling on the marketplace, then you're going to need to do other things that I'm going to maybe make a detailed video on later on. But because you're selling through a marketplace, it's the marketplace's responsibility to make sure that they're taking the VAT at the point of sale. And this is important for you to know, because if you are selling goods to customers within the EU, you're going to need to make a few changes to your listing. So one of the changes that you're going to need to make is that you're going to need to state the VAT that the customer is going to have to pay within the listing. So I'm not sure exactly how eBay are going to make it easy for us sellers to let the customer know exactly what the VAT rate is. This might be done automatically depending on what item we're selling and depending on what country we're selling to. So we're just going to have to wait to find out. So another important thing that you guys need to be aware of is the way that VAT is going to be charged, in terms of, is it going to be charged for the entire amount that we're going to be charging the customer in terms of shipping, the product price, etc., etc. This is something that's very important, and I've managed to find the answer to that. So the way that VAT is going to be charged is going to be on just the product price alone, minus any processing fees or any shipping fees. So this is something that's important to know, because even though eBay are taking care of the VAT returns in terms of sending the amounts that are due and everything like that to the countries, you need to know in terms of remaining competitive and what the customers are going to have to pay. So just to give you a quick rundown of what I've spoken about in this video, and just to give you a summary of everything I've spoken about, I've got my notes over here, so I'm just going to read it out. So the first thing that you guys need to know is that from the 1st of July, VAT changes will take effect for shipments sent to customers within the EU. The next thing is that VAT exemptions for imports under €22 is going to be abolished, which means that VAT is going to be charged for every single item, whether it's charged at £1, £2, £3 to all the customers within the EU. The next thing is that eBay will collect the VAT that the customer pays for imports and consignments up to a value of €150 shipped to the EU and sold to customers, which means that if the item that the customer ordered is valued over €150, it's going to be classed as an import, which I'm not necessarily going to touch on in this video. I'm going to make a more detailed video about imports, but if the item is valued over €150, it's going to be classed as an import and not as a sale to a normal customer, if that makes sense. The next thing is that all eBay sellers will need to provide a gross price and a separate VAT rate on their listing so that eBay can determine the correct amount of VAT to collect from the customers. And then finally, there's different rules that are going to take place if you're selling directly to customers using websites like Shopify. So what I've spoken about in this video primarily relates to sellers that are selling directly into the EU. Whether you're importing the stock and then selling it yourself one by one, the same rules are going to apply to you, or whether you're drop shipping the stuff directly to the customers, sellers, these rules are also going to apply to you as well. As long as you're selling on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, directly to the customer through a marketplace, these rules that I've spoken about are going to be applicable. I'm going to make a more updated video, maybe after the 1st of July, so that I can update you guys on what I've done with my own eBay listings and what you guys need to know about if you're going to start selling on eBay after the 1st of July. And by the way, if you want to watch a video where I broke down all of the changes that took place from the 1st of January 2021, in terms of the fact that the UK left the EU from the 1st of January, I'm going to leave that video above. That video broke down some key things that you guys need to know in terms of the UK and VAT changes that happened in January. So make sure you watch that video above. Very important. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to press the like button, as it really helps out the channel in a big way. I really appreciate that. And whilst you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification, because I'm releasing videos similar to this where I give you guys updates on any VAT tax laws that are changing that will affect you as an e-commerce seller. And comment down below and let me know what you thought of the video. Just to remind you guys, I'm not a VAT specialist. I'm just an e-commerce seller that's trying to give you guys the basic information that you need to move forward. But comment down below. I'll still love to hear from you. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you stay safe out there. Peace.